Three, two, one, let's go. So, hi, everybody, and welcome to another podcast episode on the Georgia Beat podcast. Messed that one up a bit. And today I've got a bit of a pessimistic topic to discuss, but I feel it's one that's pretty important and it keeps coming up. And before I do that, guys, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and if you truly want to spoil me, hit the bell notification down below for regular updates of my content, because doing all these things helps the channel grow and get out there. And having said that, now with the topic. As you guys can tell by the title, my topic of today is the frustrations of being a Lebanese person. And that's specifically to do with Lebanon. This isn't like experiences in Canada or experiences elsewhere where people look upon us differently. No, this is the bullshit we have to deal with, or the bullshit we're born into, we've inherited just from this weird lottery outcome of being born into Lebanon. And I wanted to talk about this because talking with my Lebanese family members, talking with my Lebanese friends, coworkers, acquaintances, even random Lebanese strangers I bump into, there always comes just like once we start talking about Lebanon, there always comes this sense of frustration with this country. And like how many of us, the vast majority of Lebanese, and if you're not part of that vast majority, you're either very fortunate, in which case, good on you, or you're kind of part of the branch of Lebanese people who've caused these problems. But my point is the vast majority of Lebanese people have dealt with this frustration, which I think is very inherent to our nationality. And dude, where to start on these frustrations? Let's start with the most recent and most obvious one, our messed up, failing, and destroyed economy. Because of our economy, we have many Lebanese people just can't find a job in Lebanon. Our money's almost worthless because of the inflation is just freaking crazy. Businesses are shutting down everywhere. Companies are shutting down everywhere. Other countries don't even bother exporting to us anymore. And our imports, they were never in a good place. And just, many people are leaving. Many young Lebanese people are leaving the country to work elsewhere. Some of them are bringing their family with them. Some of them are leaving their family behind, but they're going to other places like Canada, America, UAE, Saudi Arabia, basically anywhere else, because that's the point we've reached in terms of our economy. Any other place is a better place than Lebanon, minus a few examples. And then that's just the economy. Where do we start with the security situation? I know Lebanon's dealing with rises in crime. I know Lebanon is dealing with a lot of thievery. We've got people being murdered in the streets. We've got people being murdered in their shops. We've got land being stolen, houses being stolen, car thefts at our all-time high, and we don't have any security. And then let's talk about just the other frustrations. Let's talk about infrastructure. We don't have any. Lebanon, for years and decades, we've never had proper electricity. This isn't a recent thing. I can remember as a kid dealing with blackouts of electricity, and I can remember now as an adult dealing with even worse blackouts visiting there. This is like, I'm not even talking about my personal experiences. I'm talking about the experiences of relatives and friends who are still there. I'm fortunate enough to be in Dubai right now. But my point is, like, these blackouts have always been a thing. They're kind of a meme in Lebanese society, and they force people to buy like these very expensive generators that now more than ever, no one can afford. And then, like, what else is there? Like, there's no clean water. We have to buy really expensive water to shower with that we can't even drink. Everything's got to be bottled. There's no proper internet system. We've got to deal with these crappy old wires, or we have to pay a ton of money for these expensive new wires, which work half the time. And then, once you deal with a crap and dead economy, and once you deal with like an absence of infrastructure, you have to deal with corruption. In Lebanon, you can't really open a business without some random fat guy, and the majority of these people are fat asses, without a random fat guy just dropping by and saying, you got to give him a cut. You can't open a business without whoever represents your local political party in the town asking for donations or giving you permission to start a venture which will actually contribute to the economy because you can hire more Lebanese people, bring business into the country, and create revenue, taxable revenue. But you can't do that in Lebanon. Blatant corruption. You can't get your proper documents without either waiting a crazy amount of time to get a passport or without paying a shit ton of money just to cut the line and get it right away. You can't file proper documents without paying all these crazy ass fees. And you don't even know if it leads anywhere. Like I always hear these stories about how people just want to do what in any other country is simple documentation. But then in Lebanon, it's just this bureaucratic, corrupt mess of paying the right people, realizing you paid the wrong people, and then having to pay the right people again. Basically, like guys, there's this whole list of issues in Lebanon that I can talk about, but I want to get to the point of this. This is all frustrating. This is something that depresses us Lebanese people on a daily basis. Because the thing is, guys, Lebanese people, we want to go back. We want to make it work in Lebanon. Every time people ask us this, do you like the country that you're staying in? And that can be Canada, it can be UAE, it can be Saudi, it can be England, it can be France. Would you prefer staying here or living in Lebanon? That's a very common question I feel us Lebanese people get. And the answer that I give, and the answer I hear a lot from fellow Lebanese people is, if we could make it work in Lebanon, if Lebanon was stable, if Lebanon got its shit together, if Lebanon gave us the bare minimum to function and start a life there, we would obviously pick Lebanon. Us Lebanese, for the most part, and from what I've seen, we love our country. If we're mountain Lebanese, we love the mountains. If we're beach Lebanese, coastal Lebanese, we love the coast. We love the coast. We either love fishing, we love skiing, we love our trees, we love our beautiful waters. And if we're mountain Lebanese, we like to visit the coast. If we're coastal Lebanese, we like to visit the mountain. The point is, we love our country. And not only do we love our country, we love our culture. We love to do the debke. We love to sing. We love to do that little guitar. We love our food. Some of us, I feel, love our food too much. Hint, hint. But we do love, like, we love hummus, shawarmas. I personally don't like Lebanese song artists. I could not give a lasting damn about Fairuz or Elissa or Melissa or Haifa or Nancy or all these people that randomly show up on MTV for one song and then disappear forever. I personally could not care about that. But the point is, us Lebanese, we love our identity, we love our history. Some of us call ourselves the descendants of Phoenicians, even though I think that's stupid because Phoenicians died out thousands of years ago. And I doubt many of us still have that kind of genetic. Some of us are proud of our trees, our beautiful cedars, our beautiful pine. Some of us love just to talk about poetry. We love to read the work of Lebanese authors such as Khalil Gibran. And we just love our heritage. We love what our grandfathers and grandmothers have left us. We love what our ancestors have left them. We love all this identity that comes with being Lebanese. I don't know any Lebanese people, and myself included, I'm a very pessimistic person. I don't know many people who either hate the land, hate the culture. I don't know anyone who hates the food and who hate like our history and who aren't proud of it. The thing is, we're proud of all these things. We want to build a life in Lebanon. Even if we're already still in Lebanon or our parents left and we were born overseas or we moved overseas with our parents, we all had that dream of coming back. Even though, like, even though there's a lack of infrastructure, even though things are not as developed as other countries, even though a salary in Lebanon is not necessarily as great as a salary in Dubai or Montreal or New York, we always, many of us do want to come back. We want to sit in our stone houses, you know, the stones I'm talking about. We have Lebanese architecture and all that shit. We want to sit in our stone houses. We want to sit on the balcony. We want to smoke our argile listening to the crickets, or just like playing cards, playing backgammon with our friends. We want to have these parties. We want to celebrate the weddings of our friends, our relatives. We want to have all these ceremonies. We want to be a community in Lebanon, but we can't. We can't. How can we work in Lebanon? And many Lebanese are young professionals. They work either freelance or they have very web specific jobs where they need a functioning computer and electricity to do their work. How can we do that if the power always goes out and we have to buy these expensive generators? And not only the expensive generators, the expensive gas. Oh, I forgot to mention the gas. There's barely any gas. Expensive gas to power these generators just to live. How can we open a company to hire more young Lebanese to boost our economy when some local fat guy comes there and says we need to pay our local dues to the organization, to some crime boss, to a Zaim, and then say, okay, you have permission to function. It's going to be a shitty predicament for you guys, but hey, we gave you permission to do what in any other country you can already do. How can we function when there's always these like major gun battles in Beirut, I believe in Saida, in Trablus, in all these different areas, where every time there's a gun battle, tourists run away and take their money with them, and even Lebanese people run away. How can we function? How can we keep going back if there's no security, there's no infrastructure, and right now there's no medicine even? We want to come back. We want to build a future. We want to settle down. We want to buy property in Lebanon. We want to set up a company in Lebanon. We want to hike in the mountains. We want to swim at Eddy Sands. So maybe not Eddy Sands, but you know what I mean, in that area. We want to have shawarmas. We want to go to the network with our friends. We want to hang out at our balcons and all that stuff. We want to do these things, but we can't. And I want to talk about an important part of this video because it's easy to blame the politicians. It's easy to blame these leaders who, frankly, don't know anything about economics, don't know anything about infrastructure, have like long expired, like worthless diplomas that don't mean shit. Like, it's easy for us to blame them, and in many cases we should. These are the guys who spread division. These are the guys who destroyed our economy. These are the guys who got so greedy. It's like, okay, look, before, take your 20%. Just leave me alone. But now these guys want 100%. We can easily blame all these guys, and in many cases we should. And this is where the controversy starts from me. This is where I will generate a bit of controversy because I've talked with my friends and I know they don't like it when I say this. But the thing is, guys, the biggest people we should blame for a predicament, the one that's recently happened and the one that's been going on for decades and generations, is the Lebanese people. Because, guys, while we do have a beautiful country, while we do have this wonderful heritage, this rich history, while we do have, what I think are some worthwhile cultural objectives, we have a shit society. We have we have shit people, and I believe many Lebanese have this shittiness inside them, myself included. We have this not only pessimism, we have this greed. We have this greed inside us. We have this indifference to others inside us. And I think our shit politicians are just a symptom of that, because it's not like they entered politics and they became such shitheads. I feel a lot of these guys are just a result of a Lebanese society that is greedy, that is indifferent, that exploits each other, that just focuses on short term instead of long term. Because, guys, I want to say this: long before the Beirut explosion, long before the crap politics, long before the wars, the sectarian conflicts, us Lebanese are some pretty indifferent people. Before all this happened, guys, and I know a lot of my friends, and you guys can give me shit, but that's what I believe. A lot of my friends didn't care about politics. A lot of my friends didn't care about what happened to the neighboring town. A lot of friends just said it would be such a catchphrase, "Akhi, I don't care about politics. I don't give a shit about politicians. Let them do whatever the fuck they want. I want to go club. I want to go shoot. I want to go party. I want to drink. I want to have fun. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about politics. I don't care about parties. I don't want to vote. I don't care." And it's not just like the indifference to what was going on in the country. There was also just like this disregard for our land, I want to say. Because again, way before the politicians like either ruined or never gave us a garbage disposal system or proper infrastructure for disposing waste, I remember all my relatives burning garbage. I remember a ton of friends grabbing their barudas, their guns, or barudes. My Arabic isn't that great. Give me shit for it later. Grabbing their barudes and shooting not just like birds for eating, just whatever. I've seen these guys shoot endangered species. Europe gives us a lot of shit for shooting endangered species: pelicans, eagles, hawks, owls. When was the last time we've seen owls in Lebanon? So that's pretty rare. And then these guys will just shoot them. I've seen these, and then it's not even just birds that they'll never eat. I've seen these guys just go into the forest, shoot dogs, shoot cats. I don't know what other animals there are. Just shoot whatever is moving and that they can get away with shooting. And not just like shooting rare animals and basically destroying our wildlife. I've seen a lot of people just like clear a ton of forest. You know, they'll cut down trees, they'll throw waste in the waterways, they'll throw waste in our rivers, they'll throw waste in the coast, like, you know, in the coast that many people depend on for fishing, people in Trablos, Saida, all these other places. They'll throw, if they have a business and they produce a lot of factory waste, arsenic, lead, aluminum, heavy metal stuff, mercury, they'll just toss it in a river. I remember a time when I was a kid and people were like, why the hell is this river red? Because of a ton of industrial waste. I'll see people blow up, I'll see companies blow up our beautiful mountains. They don't have a permit. They don't pay tax. They'll blow up the mountain and sell like our rocks for cement to other countries for a quick buck. I've seen tons of Lebanese just exploit our land, whether they use a ton of like chemical fertilizer to make bigger produce, whether they'll sell like contaminated meat to make money. And it's not just the land. We exploit each other. We look at our fellow Lebanese and many, I feel, say just like, how can we make money? In Lebanon, it's very common that people screw each other over contracts. It's very common for neighbors to screw each other over land boundaries. You know, one day you go on a trip, you come back, a big chunk of your land is fenced off. It's very common for Lebanese people not to pay fellow Lebanese people a fair wage, or if they give a contract in dollars, they'll pay in lira. They'll screw people over that way. I'll see a lot of people try to take over a business by force. I'll see a lot of family members try to screw each other over inheritance. I'll see a lot of people not give a shit about their employees, expose them to the worst conditions because they want to make a big quick buck. They want to make money. We exploit our land and we exploit our people. And many of us have actually exploited, even though they probably don't say it that way, our corrupt government. We pay the local fat guy. I called them the local fat guy, these representatives of these parties. We pay these local parties to beat up our opposition. We pay them to steal from our neighbors. We pay them for all this stuff to give us the advantage in our businesses because we can't be bothered through innovation or increasing production or just being like smarter in business. We pay our government to screw over smart people, to screw over hardworking people, to screw over innovators, geniuses, the new generation, because we want our shitty business to still sell overpriced products that are worth nothing. Guys, at some point, wait, I now also want to mention another thing. Long before the explosion, we treated other people like shit, not just Lebanese. We were racist towards Syrians. We were racist towards Palestinians. We were racist towards our own mates, the people who raised our kids, who clean our house, who give us the free time to go and do some work, to see other family members and stuff like that. Because, guys, even though I feel like Lebanese culture or Lebanese society started with like good values, like the value of community, the value of being welcoming, and just the pride of being Lebanese, these values, and I don't know when it happened, these values took a turn for the worse. At some point, community, supporting the community became wasta. It became just like, what can you do for me? I know a guy, he can get me money. I can make you some money. It's not because you're my neighbor, it's because wasta. I can get something out of you. And then the pride in our house, like the pride of welcoming guests, it became showing off. And I know many Lebanese parents who are guilty of this. Us younger generations, we know our parents who are guilty of this. We invite guests, we put them in a room with all the fancy stuff, all the fancy furniture, all this stuff, and then we act like the fakest we can be. We pretend to listen to their problems, we pretend to be understanding, we pretend our lives are more perfect. And then it's just like this very like artificial environment, which I feel lost all semblance of community and just like helping out your fellow Lebanese. And let's get to Lebanese. Guys, at what point did pride in being Lebanese and pride in having spending time with fellow Lebanese become pride in being Maronite, pride in being Orthodox, pride in being Shia, pride in being Sunni, pride in being Dirze, pride in being Hayalla faction, Hayalla religion over the pride of being Lebanese? Because I'm seeing it a lot lately, and I've been guilty of this too, where I'll look at someone, or me and my friends will just look at people and they'll be like, oh, Sunni, oh, Shia, oh, Marune, oh, Masihi, oh, there is, oh, anything. And I know many of us are guilty of this. And I know some of you guys watching me right now are guilty of this. At some point, we traded away the pride of being Lebanese to being the pride of being our specific subspecies of Lebanese. We don't help our fellow Lebanese. We look at them with distrust. They look at us with distrust. We don't look past our villages. We say, oh, he's from that village down the road. Oh, she's from the Jnub, or she's from the north, Shmel. At some point, we lost all sense of being proud of Lebanese. And guys, as a result, how could we have anything but a corrupt government? How could we have anything but a shit economy where everyone exploits each other and is looking for a quick buck and dumps like the worst pollutants in the ocean, in the air, that gives us one of the highest rates of cancer in the region? With such a dysfunctional society where we look for our own interests, where we are racist, where we are distrustful, where we focus on our end goals and screw over the people around us, with such a society, how can we have anything but a dysfunctional country with no infrastructure, with no safety, with us shooting each other, with us just like living in the moment? And it's such a shitty moment of like clubbing, drinking, smoking, eating, and forgetting that this country is dysfunctional. This is a failed state. And we all had a role to play in that. To my fellow Lebanese, I understand the frustration well, and I understand my privilege. I understand that I'm one of those Lebanese who got out. I understand that I'm a third culture, international, whatever you want to call it, kid who's lived the majority of his life outside of Lebanon. And I understand that people living in Lebanon may not necessarily consider me Lebanese, and they are living in a much worse situation than I am. I know my privilege, and I know many of the privileges of the people who are in my situation. But we all want to go, like many of us want to go back. Many of us want to make our money elsewhere, bring it back to Lebanon, open a business, buy a nice house, and contribute. Many of us want to go back, and the ones who are suffering there want it to be better. But if there's going to be a point to this video, it's this: how can we expect our country to improve if we cannot improve ourselves, if we cannot fix the inherent sickness in Lebanese society? Not Lebanon, the beautiful country, not Lebanon, not rich Lebanese history, not the well-meaning Lebanese culture, but Lebanese society, our interactions with other Lebanese, how we see other Lebanese, how we deal with other Lebanese, how we represent ourselves to other countries as Lebanese people. How can we expect, and how can we even deserve a good country if we don't fix the inherent the inherent problems in being Lebanese, in Lebanese society? We need to stop considering ourselves Muslim or Masihi. We need to stop saying, I'm Sunni, he's Shia, I'm Maronite, he's Orthodox, he's Derze, watch out, he's, what else is there? He's Alawite, watch out, I don't know. But we need to stop seeing each other as others. We need to see each other as Lebanese. And I know this is not going to be easy. I know even though we might see them as Lebanese, they will still have other people may still have such a dysfunctional interaction with us. But we need to see each other as Lebanese. And seeing each other as Lebanese, we need to stop exploiting the land. We need to stop polluting our land, our water. We need to stop screwing over our neighbors. We need to stop screwing over our relatives in heritage. We need to start bringing back the hospitality and not the pride. We need to start bringing back the community and not the wasta. We need to start supporting each other. If you know people in Lebanon who are struggling in this time, support them. As long as you can support them effectively. If you know people who are whose interests lie in division, ignore them. Who gives a shit? If you know people, I don't know, what else is there left to say? Help fellow Lebanese, see Lebanese as fellow Lebanese, no matter what faith, no matter what belief, no matter what party, and stop exploiting the land, stop exploiting each other. Because as a people, we need to recover. As a society, we need to stop being absolute garbage. There's so many things we need to do. And I truly believe in doing these things, in fixing these things and focusing on these things. Slowly, very slowly, but surely, the country will get better. The politicians have already fucked up everything in the short term. The country is basically a failed state. But we shouldn't be a failed people. Because the thing is, guys, when Lebanese people leave Lebanon, they're the most successful people ever. I know people who have made such successful businesses in Canada, America. I know people who've made such successful businesses, who have such successful jobs here in Dubai. But then somehow there's just this thing that when you put a bunch of Lebanese together, everything goes to shit, especially in Lebanon. We need to solve these things. We need to fix these differences. And that is my point of the video. Slowly but surely, we need to recover as a people. And slowly but surely, I believe our country will recover as a result. I know my position. I know this little video on this little podcast from this not little man won't reach so many people, won't reach that many people. But for the people it does reach, whether you're Lebanese or not, I hope it impacts you for the positive. And if you're Lebanese, I hope we can all do that self-reflection and see what's the fault with us in our society. I hope we lose this sense of indifference. I hope we lose the apathy. I hope we lose the pessimism. And I hope we work for a better future. It's already unfortunate that our grandparents have seen a shit Lebanon. It's already unfortunate that our parents have suffered from a shit Lebanon. Let's not do this for ourselves and to the future generations, for our kids and potential grandkids. Let's fix things now. And that's what I have to say for today. I hope it's not too corny. I hope it's not too blah, blah, blah. But yeah, Thank you guys for listening for all that. And, guys, as usual, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Hit the like notification, hit the bell notification, spread the word about this podcast. I would appreciate if you guys could show it to other people. And I do want this to be a growing thing. Thank you guys for listening to my rant. And I hope wherever you are, things are going good for you. And don't be too hard on yourselves. Take care, guys.